The world is visited by many strange and curious phenomena. In Japan, when such mysteries occurred, some people would say they were the work of mysterious creatures called yokai. Even now, perhaps there are yokai lurking in the shadows of modern Japan. Lend an ear to their stories, and they might just remind you of nearly forgotten truths. Join us on a journey to explore the secrets of yokai.
This is a book of kaidan, spooky stories, written during the Edo period. In one of the stories in this collection, a very famous yokai makes an appearance. Today, we begin by introducing that story.
One day, a merchant went to collect his payment from the mansion of a samurai household in Edo. He was shown inside and asked to wait. After a little while, a boy walked into the room. He began playing by rolling and unrolling a hanging scroll displayed in the alcove. Over and over again, the child rolled up the scroll and then released it to let it tumble as the merchant looked on. After some time, the merchant scolded him. "Stop that! You'll ruin the scroll!" Suddenly, the boy glared back at him. "Silence!" the child shouted. The merchant was so shocked by the boy's face that he lost consciousness and fell to the ground. The child had stared at him with one single eye on his face.
This one-eyed child was none other than the yokai HITOTSUMEKOZO. It remains a famous yokai to this day, but it first gained its reputation in the late Edo period. At the time, yokai were experiencing a surge of popularity in the capital of Edo. The culture there delighted in the visual images of many different yokai characters. Especially popular with locals were illustrated books called kusazoshi. Hitotsumekozo was a recurring character. Although its bizarre appearance was used for shock value, it often appeared in humorous scenarios as well. In one story, it was looked down upon by more fearsome yokai and finally made the butt of human jokes as well, casting it in a comedic light.
HITOTSUMEKOZO became known among the people of Edo as a spooky, but somehow lovable, yokai character. It is still remembered today in local folklore.
Ah, こんにちは。この辺にはなんか一つ目構造関係、言い伝えかなんかあると聞きましたんで、そういうわけで来ましたんですけれども、
This is Kikuchihara Minoru. As a boy, he often heard tales of HITOTSUMEKOZO, told by his grandfather.
4月8日の晩来ってことでね、怖いものというふうなねイメージでね、子供の頃ね、図書委から教わっておりますね。
Kikuchihara recalls that the yokai was said to appear on a certain winter night. He was told that it prowled around local homes, and if any shoes had been left outside, it would mark them with its stamp. Anyone who wore the stamped shoes would then supposedly fall ill.
例えばなんか忘れてしまったらどういう気持ちになるんですか？どういう怖さですか？
もう怖いから絶対忘れなかったね。必ずねしまったね。
子供の時にはどういうなんか気持ちというかどういう存在だった？本当に信じてたんですか？
そう信じていたね。そうそう。まだ未だに一つ目小僧は怖いという感覚がね。
今でも。
そうそう。
That childhood fear led Kikuchihara to a certain custom he performs each year.
だから一つ目はね、目が一つだから、たくさんある目のものをね、玄関に通して追い払うっていうね、一つの昔からの。
これが一つが目になってるっていう。
目だね。もうかける場所が決まっていてね。
もう決まってるんですか？
そう。毎年ここへね、買ったんです。
Each year, on the evening when HITOTSUMEKOZO is rumored to arrive, Kikuchihara hangs a woven bamboo colander. He tells us that when the yokai sees the shape, it mistakes it for something with many more eyes than it has, and flees in terror. This practice of hanging woven colanders and baskets was once widely passed down in East Japan, but it's nearly died out in the modern day. Kikuchihara makes a point of carrying on the traditional custom. He believes that originally, the tales of the HITOTSUMEKOZO may have been meant to teach children discipline in their daily lives.
大勢子供にとってここへね履物を置いてここから上がるっていう風習があったからね、それはちゃんとねうちの中へしまえっていう風なね、だから外へ履物を置きじゃないよという多分教育だったと思うね。
やっぱり礼儀正しさを。
そうそうそうね。
HITOTSUMEKOZO most likely became widely known as a result of the yokai boom that occurred during the Edo period. At that time, all sorts of yokai were depicted in ukiyo-e woodblock prints and in popular illustrated books called kusazoshi. With his uncanny appearance, HITOTSUMEKOZO became a standard character. The word kozo in HITOTSUMEKOZO is still sometimes used today when an adult addresses a young boy, and it was especially common during the Edo period to refer to a shop apprentice or other boys employed by merchants. But why does this yokai have just one eye? There are many theories as to the origins of this characteristic. One of them is particularly interesting. Folklore's Tanigawa Kenichi has suggested that HITOTSUMEKOZO may have originated long ago with people who work with iron. Tanigawa had taken notice of craftspeople who forged steel for Japanese swords using the traditional Japanese method known as tatara iron making. I made a visit to one of the few remaining forges still using this method.
Konnichiwa.
こんにちは。
どうも、
はじめまして。
マイケルと申します。
はい。
Hirata Nodoka operates this forge and is what is known as a Tatara artisan.
これは何ですか？
これがタタラ製鉄って言って、日本刀の原料を作る製鉄炉になります。
Tatara iron making is a process dating back many centuries. Iron sand and charcoal are heated at high temperature to form the steel known as tamahagane. Tamahagane is an integral element of Japanese blades. Even after modern scientific advances, the millennium-long tradition of Tatara iron making is the only known way of creating the substance. In order to make high-quality tamahagane, a keen awareness of the furnace's inner workings is necessary.
これは何ですか？こういう。
これが歯口って呼ばれているもので、ここからタタラ製鉄炉の炉の中に風を送ってます。と同時にここから中の様子をちょっと見ることができて、でここから中の様子を覗いて今どんな状態かなっていうのを見たりすることができます。
これよく覗くんですか？
はい、結構覗きますね。
Hirata peers through the bellows every 30 minutes, deciding how much iron and charcoal are needed and when. Craftspeople like her now guard their eyes with light-shielding plates. But once they looked in directly,
歯口を覗く時っていうのはすごい眩しいんですよね。太陽を見てるような感覚なんです本当に。なので目がやっぱり潰れちゃうっていう風に、なんか昔タタラやってた人たちは赤眼だったっていう風に言われたりしてますね。
Before modern safety measures, between the long periods of staring into the furnaces and the showers of sparks, it wasn't uncommon for people to damage their eyesight or lose it entirely. Tanigawa Kenichi suggested that Tatara artisans with one wounded eye might have contributed to the birth of the HITOTSUMEKOZO.
Metal smelting requires techniques that are not easily replicated. It's hard for the modern world to grasp how vital its creations were considered to be. This inspired a sense of awe towards the craftspeople who sustained injuries while working among these harsh conditions, even leading people to think of them as divine.
It so happens that within Japanese legend, there exists a single-eyed deity said to craft swords and axes. Tanigawa asserts that the one-eyed god was the essence of the Tatara artisan, and its legend went on to inspire the yokai HITOTSUMEKOZO. If Tatara artisans were respected as godlike, and then eventually recontextualized as yokai, their appearance must have made an impression on people at the time. So explains Professor Yasui Manami, who researches the connections between yokai and the human body.
やはり片目であるとか、何か片側しかない。それは、通常ではない。だから差別されるっていう場合と、通常ではない。だから、非常に、通常とは違う力を持っている とみなされる場合が、あったと思います。たたら師の人たちが、非常にこう異形の念で見られていたと同時に、やはり身体的にこう、目を痛めるとか、紳士の名指しもあったかと思いますので、たたら師をたたら神として祀る場合もあれば、いやいや、もっと妖怪的なものに近いんだというふうに判断する場合もある。
Yasui thinks that HITOTSUMEKOZO may have attracted the attention of so many people because of the emphasis placed on its eye.
片側にある片目っていうのと、そして真ん中に一つ大きな目がポンとこう描かれるのと、随分意味合いが違うかなと思います。印刷技術の、発展などの中で視覚文化、このビジュアルのものがすごく、力を持っていくようになると、顔の中でも、非常にこう表情を語る目が重視されていく。そういった時にやはり一つ目が割と分かりやすい形で、これは妖怪なんだっていうふうにこうアピールできたのが大きいのかなと思います。
This is Tofukozo, a childlike yokai said to carry tofu. It began its depiction with 2 eyes, but then evolved to have just 1. It's likely that this change was made to emphasize its uncanniness as a yokai. In this way, a single eye became widely understood as a representative symbol of yokai.
Certainly, the appearance of this figure with a single eye is very unnerving and visually inspires a clear sense of fear. At the same time, the eye can allude to a whole variety of deeper meanings. The eye can be a tool of communication. Or it can be a kind eye watching over what we hold dear. I think that one reason HITOTSUMEKOZO has continued to resonate with people today stems from the fact that we feel a strange and special allure from the eye and the power held within it. HITOTSUMEKOZO may have been born as an embodiment of the power of the eye. But to the people of the Edo period, he later became one of the most popular and recognizable icons of the yokai world. However, even while HITOTSUMEKOZO flourished as a popular character, a different but related image of HITOTSUMEKOZO was passed down in local traditions. And these traditions continue to have meaning in people's lives, even today.
Oiso Town in Kanagawa Prefecture. Every December, a special custom relating to HITOTSUMEKOZO takes place here.
家内安全商売繁盛。
家内安全商売繁盛。1番息子。
2番息子。3番息子。4番息子。
1番息子。
2番息子。
This ceremony is known as Ichiban Musuko, or first son, in response to the story that HITOTSUMEKOZO emerges from the ground on this day. Residents take turns striking the ground with rocks to drive it back under.
みんなが健康になりますように。1番息子。
2番息子。3番息子。4番息子。
A A festival is also held for the yokai.
Eh, なんかやってるみたい。あ、お邪魔します。こんにちは。いや、何をやっていらっしゃるんですか。これはね。
Fukuda Yoshiaki is one of the organizers of the local festival.
この地域には一つ目構造の言い伝えがあると聞きましたので来ましたんですけれども、皆様は今何をやっていらっしゃるんですか。
これは1月の14日に左義町、大磯の左義町というお祭りがあるんですが、で今私たちがこれやってるのはその時に燃やすためのサイトっていうのがあるんですけど、それの化粧縄を今編んでるところです。
Sagicho is a traditional festival of fire that has been held for 4 centuries. In order to wish for household safety and good health throughout the year, locals begin preparing for the event about a month in advance. The festival itself is based on a story regarding the yokai. It was said that every December, HITOTSUMEKOZO would go from home to home, writing down in its ledger the names of any villagers who committed bad deeds. Those whose names were recorded were cursed to encounter misfortune. However, the dawn began to break. HITOTSUMEKOZO started to panic and handed its ledger to the village's guardian deity, Dosojin. "Hold on to this for me. I'll be back for it," the yokai said just before it fled. At this rate, the villagers would be doomed to misfortune. After much consideration, Dosojin destroyed the ledger by burning its own house down, saving the villagers. In Oiso, residents continue to worship Dosojin for the protection it once offered them. Dosojin resolved to save the villagers from HITOTSUMEKOZO, and the yearly festival expresses their gratitude to the deity. Fukuda explains that while HITOTSUMEKOZO is an ominous figure watching residents, it also helps them remember something important.
悪いことすれば誰も見てないなと思っても見えないところでも見られてる。毎日毎日正しいね、行動をしていかなきゃいけないんじゃないかなと思って、やっぱりこう戒めっていうかね、そういうものになってきたと思うんでね。
The morning of January 14th. Preparations for the festival begin along the coast of Oiso. At the center are the saito, torch-like objects made from the straw woven by residents. Placed around the saito are Daruma dolls and New Year's decorations. These objects are burned as a symbolic replacement for HITOTSUMEKOZO's ledger. 9 saito are erected, the same number as the local Dosojin statues, and set ablaze all at once. At nightfall, the festivities begin. Burning the ledger of HITOTSUMEKOZO is thought to allow people to evade potential misfortune. Following this tradition, they wish for household safety and good health. During all this, they remember that the yokai watches them always, compelling them not to stray from what is right.
In the popular culture of the Edo period, HITOTSUMEKOZO was a famous character, both creepy and lovable. And at the same time, he remained a scary figure in local folk customs and beliefs. Like all yokai, HITOTSUMEKOZO meant different things to different people. However, the thing that ties together all these different manifestations, the defining characteristic of this particular yokai is, of course, his single eye. In a sense, we can think of HITOTSUMEKOZO as a sort of exaggerated or extreme embodiment of the power of seeing. He is a monster of surveillance, reminding children that they're being watched, that somebody is taking note of their behavior, whether bad or good. Perhaps eventually, this sense of always being watched becomes internalized, inspiring people to act appropriately and morally because, as it were, the eyes of community are upon them. Of course, this is just one of many possible interpretations, but I think we cannot overlook the significance of that single eye. Ultimately, HITOTSUMEKOZO reminds us of the symbolic and the very real power of vision, what it means to see and to be seen.
HITOTSUMEKOZO is ever vigilant, taking note of any bad deeds people might commit. Perhaps it came to check up on me just now. I can only hope it was scared away by the many eyes of the woven basket outside. When I think about HITOTSUMEKOZO watching me with that single eye, I feel as if I better behave myself.